this up, the 1v2, to get them over the line. He drops down the rope. Was he seen? It looks like the answer is no! And he's got it done! 13-8!
On August 9th, Bleed Esports won the Pacific Ascension Tournament, becoming the 11th team in VCT Pacific. But they really gained a lot of international attention when they signed Ye as an import. So who are Bleed Esports and how do they play Valorant? Will Ye be able to fit into their team's playstyle? Or could we see a repeat of last year's role issues on C9 or even DSG? In this video, we're going to find out who Bleed are as a team and whether or not Ye is a good fit by looking at clips from the Pacific Ascension Tournament. If you want to analyze your own matches, check out the Valorant Tracker app, which can help everyone improve their gameplay. Firstly, it has a built-in system which helps you automatically save important clips. You can look back on how you died and through certain rounds and what helped you pop off in others. You can also view a lot of different types of analytics on your recent and lifetime games, allowing you to break down what weaknesses or strengths you have. Headshot percentage is a common stat to look at, but if you don't play duelists, I'd suggest looking at your assists per game and how you can improve that number. Finally, there's an entire guide section with a bunch of different utility setups you can try yourself. Check out the link in the description to download Valorant Tracker for free. And thanks to them for sponsoring this video.
I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean, they have to spend so much time to even, they go in double, that's great. But now you have to come in, into top mid, and you can only come in one by one. That's 1, 2, and the third, scary! 3 headshots in a row.
Bleed was very dominant during their Pacific Ascension run, and only lost one match to D+ Esports out of the last 22 matches. Bleed won Ascension with a roster of Durion, Crazy Guy, Scary, Juicy, and Neff. If you've been following Valorant for a while and Scary sounds familiar, he originally made a name for himself on X10 back in 2021 with Patifan and the rest of the current Talent Esports roster. Just like back then, Scary is a prominent fragger, even though he's on the controller role. You can see him top frag many series despite being on Omen and Brimstone, so he's definitely a key contributor to the team.
Extra kill, open up the site, but it's Scary. What? You can never count him out. Scary versus Shiro. They know of each other's position. Shiro with the jiggle and Scary.
But all of Bleed have a lot of firepower, and you can expect all of them to win important duels at any point. This translates into a lot of rounds where Bleed win through sheer power of will. Strategically, Bleed plays an extremely proactive defensive side, and loves setting up for stacked aggression. This reminds me a lot of how Loud like to play defense. They love making big bets based off of info, which can make enemies feel completely lost. This is a pistol round on Haven against Scars from their Ascension Grand Final. Bleed start in a 2-1-2 setup, with 2 players looking to fight C long and 2 players looking to fight A main, while Breach stays as a rotator. This is a strong setup as Breach can stun either side depending on where Scars might rush. When no pressure is seen on either side, Bleed immediately move 4 players towards B to set up for a fight. Scars is completely caught off guard when their jet peeks into 3 players ready for him on B. We'll see this type of proactive movement from Bleed multiple times throughout a round. This next round is one of my favorites from them. Still on Haven against Scars, Bleed begin with a 2-2-1 setup, stacked toward B and C while Sova plays for info on A. Bleed know that they have Killjoy ult in the case of an A rush to use for retake, but take note how Sova still applies pressure by himself before falling back to a safer position. Even though the original plan is to retake, you still want to get early info and force enemies to use utility and waste their time. After Breach and Jet see nothing mid for the majority of the round, they know that Scars must hit a site soon, so both players on B split up to defend A or C. With 44 seconds left and no sound heard on A, Juicy knows they're about to scale up long C, and rushes to peek it before they're too close. Proactive rotation sets up this beautiful shot and they win the round off of it. Bleed won't give up anything for free at any point in the round, and continuously make it hard for attackers to feel confident in their calls. Watch this EG-inspired strat on Fracture, where Bleed set up a deep Sova dart to take control of A main. When enemies aren't there, they don't waste map control and double push on the flank. The fast flank on pistol leads to a strong retake timing. Scars don't have time to get into post plant positions and are caught in awkward spots because of that play.
Aftershock goes across, they're looking to flush him down, get him off the ground.
When Scars are actually there to fight for a main, Bleed gain a ton of good opportunities for kills. They just barely miss a lot of good kills in this round, but still dealt a lot of damage and gathered valuable information. The proactive play still ultimately leads to a 1 round for Bleed. I honestly think that Bleed's defensive side is on a world-class level, and you can see how dominant they are when we look at their defensive win rates from their last year of play. Bleed will definitely have no problem hanging with top teams on defense, but how is their attack side?
Smoke down onto the site, flash goes out. Dash in from Juicy, spots one, the swing in. Crystal gonna be good for one, Tornado gonna be taken down. Now Neff gets into the fight, finds one, but Yoshi will shut him down, gets right in on top of Crazy Guy as well to find an additional kill.
I'm gonna break down their attack side pistol round on Haven, which will reveal some interesting tendencies from them. Bleed start the round with a smoke in sewer to deny the crossfire. This is a pretty interesting smoke, so let me briefly explain why. Originally, teams on attack would smoke off top C to deny information. As time went on, A lobby control became way too important, and teams have adjusted accordingly to use this brick smoke. This smoke prevents defenders from watching the cross safely from long, and fighting with all these dangerous off angles. This is why the brick smoke has become a strong choice on defaults, as we can see Fnatic take full advantage of it against Loud at Champs. But what happens when defenders have a Breach or Astra, who can stall attackers long enough for a duelist to push past brick? So let's go back to Bleed, who have evolved to smoke off short instead, and completely prevent the possibility of a crossfire. They use the smoke to walk all 5 players into A long together. The enemy jet peeks into long and finds Bleed stacked there, and now Bleed have no control of the rest of the map. Scars tossed the round by making 2 solo peeks, but objectively, this type of calling from Bleed is too one-dimensional and is punishable in 2 main ways. Firstly, without good map control, defenders can stack sites. In this round that I'm showing, Bleed push straight into a stack on A and lose to a full eco. The second is that defenders can easily push the other side of the map to gain valuable positioning and information. In the following round, Omen finds a timing to push up C long while Bleed were stacked towards A. When Bleed rotate back to C, Omen has the perfect positioning to win the round.
Is he gonna be pretty damn patient so far? There's 2 juicy targets!
Here's another round where Omen pushes up C long, which allows the rest of his team to stack towards A. Strategically, this is the worst case scenario for Bleed, but they still somehow force themselves into the site and have a chance to win the round. Rounds like this are likely what trained their bad habits. Bleed doesn't really play the information game on attack. There were multiple times where Sova was sending utility into Garage, but never actually used it to take control of Garage. In this round, Sova drones Garage and sees the Killjoy turret. It isn't killed and Garage is never challenged before Bleed decide to run into the A stack. Scars came back to be within 1 round because of Bleed's one-dimensional attack side, and this isn't just an issue on Haven. In this Lotus game against D+, we see Bleed continue to force their way around the map and get punished for it. Watch this round as all 5 Bleed players start at Mound. When someone gets picked off by the op, they all run straight to A and force their way onto site. Bleed remind me of a mini Paper X, as we all know how successful they can be forcing onto sites. But Paper X actually throw in very complex defaults to keep enemies guessing. Bleed will definitely have to learn how to do this if they want to be able to take on the top teams in VCT Pacific, but we've been talking about Bleed's playstyle with their original 5. How might this change for better or worse with the addition of Ye to their roster?
Cooldown backup as well, so he does go in. No pressure felt on the back of this. A freebie onto Pancada. Actually re-swing it as well. Finds another.
Juicy and Neff were pretty talented individually and fit well into Bleed's aggressive style, so there are both pros and cons to the addition of Ye and Egoist to their roster. When we really think back to Ye's best performances on Optic, he really excelled on the defensive half. Optic was a very proactive team on defense, and Ye would often win maps by himself with the spots he was playing. So I can only imagine Bleed's defense getting even better with Ye. Watch how Bleed liked to play Bind by prioritizing shower control and setting up Durion on Chamber. Optic played Bind in this exact same way, like in this match against Loud, so it's easy to imagine that Ye will be comfortable in these exact same spots. But this now causes a new problem. If Ye is playing Chamber, what will Durion be playing? Durion had a pretty interesting role this year since he played Sentinel on some maps and Jet on others. But Egoist has been known for his strong Sentinel, so I can only imagine him playing Sentinel on this new roster. Furthermore, Raze has become a very high value pick on many maps, but Juicy was their old Raze player who is no longer on the roster. Although I fully believe in all three players being able to flex around to different agents, it still means that roles on Bleed won't be clear cut, and this is a possible point of failure. Next, if we think about Bleed's weaknesses on attack, I feel that Ye can actually help change their pace on certain rounds to avoid getting stuck. Ye was never a psychotic duelist, but he took fights with care and could work his way around the map methodically. This is exactly the type of play Bleed needs on attack to avoid running straight into stacks or getting stuck. If Bleed can keep their strong forced executes, but throw in some methodical map play with Ye's help, they can be a very dangerous team. Finally, we should point out that Bleed kept a strong core set of players, and it's easy to see that Scary and Crazy Guy anchored their team last year. They also have the same coaching staff, and the entire team seems like they communicate well in English. But my biggest concern is still the possible role issues and agent swapping, which again is exactly what Ye had problems with this year. If they can move past that, I wholeheartedly believe that we could see Bleed Esports near the top of VCT Pacific next year, and El Diablo will have returned.